Hey y'all, today I feel like telling you the story about another well-known moonshiner, because you know we ain't nothing but a bunch of outlaws down here. And no, this ain't about Popcorn Sutton. This is about another moonshiner who became one of the most influential people in NASCAR history. His name was Junior Johnson. His real name was Robert Glenn Johnson Jr., and his family was some of the first to make moonshine here in Appalachia, dating all the way back to the 1790s. Junior was born in 1931 in Wilkes County, North Carolina. That's in the Appalachian foothills. And his daddy, Robert, was a kingpin moonshiner and spent 20 of his 65 years in life in the big house for the illegal distillation of liquor. But no kidding, in 1935, his daddy was busted with the largest possession of moonshine that had ever been. The law removed 7,000 gallons of illegal whiskey, and the law dumped all this liquor in his yard. And after they left, the neighbors scrambled around to try to salvage the liquor, and they were able to save a few hundred gallons. Oh, and when the law was out there dumping all that liquor in the yard, Robert's wife was in the kitchen cooking them up a big old meal, just like a proper Appalachian. Now getting back to Junior, he quit school when he was in 8th grade and started running shine for his daddy when he was 14. And he said, "You didn't need no driver's license because you weren't going to get caught." Now, Junior knew how to drive all those mountain back roads and their twists and hairpin turns and switchbacks and all that. And his friend one time said the car was scared of him. Now, Junior was a brilliant mechanic, and he would trick out his cars in order to evade the law. He'd modify the engines for extra power, and he'd also add heavy-duty suspensions in order to carry more liquor. He could carry up to 100 gallons of White Lightning at a time. Besides packing the trunk full of mason jars, he'd remove everything else out of the car except for the front seat so he could pack in more of them jars. And he'd rig his cars where they'd produce smoke or drop oil or nails to trip up the law. He'd go so far as to remove the windshield wipers and tape up the openings around the headlights just to give him a little extra 10 miles an hour more speed. He attached a toggle switch to the left of the steering column so that when the law was after him, he could flip that switch and it'd turn the brake lights or the tail lights off, and he'd quick cut the steering wheel to the left, and it'd cause the law to end up in a ditch because they overdrove a curve. Now this is kindly funny. Henry Ford, the car manufacturer, he was a teetotaler. He didn't allow no drinking amongst his staff, but he accidentally made the perfect car for running shine. The Ford V8 was fast enough to stay one step ahead of the law, and it was rugged enough to handle the mountain back roads, and it was big enough to haul a whole bunch of that homebrew. Eventually, the moonshine runners started racing each other in their whiskey cars at the local racetracks and such, and at age 22, Junior Johnson started racing his pimped-out automobiles. A top stock car driver named Bill France started recruiting bootleggers to run races in Virginia and North Carolina, and in 1947, he started NASCAR down in Daytona Beach, Florida. Junior crossed over into NASCAR and became a NASCAR legend, but I did want to mention that when he was 25, he got busted for having a steal. He never got out of the moonshine way of life. Now, he never got caught running the handcrafted booze, but he did get caught with the steal, and he had to spend 11 months in prison. But as far as his racing career, he was very beloved in NASCAR, and he won 50 Grand National races, and he retired from that in 1966. In the 70s and 80s, he was a NASCAR owner, and he was one of the most famous ones that ever was. He won 6 championships with drivers like Cale Yarborough and Darrell Waltrip. And in regards to that prison sentence, well, President Reagan pardoned him in 1985. In 2007, he partnered up with Midnight Moon Moonshine, where they used the old Johnson family recipes for moonshine. And Junior Johnson said that he was still into business, but this time he's paying taxes. Midnight Moon is in Madison, North Carolina, and you can go on their website and see all kinds of good things they've got for medicinal purposes only. In 2010, Junior was inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and that was their inaugural year. Junior passed away in 2019 at the age of 88. But what a legacy he left behind. And I hope y'all enjoyed that story of how moonshine and NASCAR overlapped. The end.